Greetings and salutations. My name is Michael Schwahn and welcome to the channel. We have some more reaction content for you, and today we are checking out A Plague Tale Requiem. We already checked this out before, but its release approaches and they have put out several new trailers in the time since we did the previous reaction for A Plague Tale, and so we can take one last look at what A Plague Tale Requiem might have in store. Some small background. One, I did play A Plague Tale Innocence very, very recently in the last like 3 months or so, and I genuinely loved it. I thought it was a really great game. It was a really cool experience, a cool setting, a cool presentation. I really enjoyed it a lot. And I was very excited because they have a sequel coming for it, right? And we checked out A Plague Tale Requiem, and it's, you know, the sequel, it's the continuation, it's the next step in their story, in their journey, and that's on its own is cool and exciting, and I like that. The one thing that we had a problem with was that they added Witcher sense into it. You've seen it in a lot of games where you hit a button and a pulse flows out from your character and it marks every object, interactable enemy, etc. within a set distance around your character. That was a really major blow for me. They do at least have a reason for it in terms of that it is rat vision, of that using the vision of being able to connect with the rats allows you to have this sight that extends beyond the normal human realm of vision. But it's still just, it so often feels like lazy game design in my opinion, but we'll leave that be. We're going to take a look at what else they've released at this point in time. And so we have 3 trailers. We have the gameplay overview trailer, the alchemy trailer, and then the story trailer. And those all released in September. We haven't had really any other media come out for it. I imagine shortly after this video goes out, we'll end up with a launch trailer. But most of the time, launch trailers don't have a whole lot extra. And it's starting to get too close for us to try to wait for that. And sometimes launch trailers release on the day of the actual game itself. So let's get into this. I don't mind the echo going out. I hate when they distort the screen, however, or puts a filter on it. That's fair too. When it makes everything look gamey, everything's got like a digitized look to it. Hi, Amicia. How are you?
I knew it. I knew it. All right.
She looks like she's doing great.
Far across the sea, an island calls.
Nothing ever stays nice. It always turns bad.
Things aren't always nice, but you can change them.
How?
The way we always do.
By killing people. Wait.
We fight.
Well, all right.
How far will you go to save the ones you love? A Plague Tale Requiem picks up a few months after the end of Innocence, right around the first days of summer. Amicia and Hugo are headed south, along with their mother Beatrice and the young alchemist Lucas, reaching places still spared by the devouring plague,
Oh, there's Lucas.
the raging wars, and the rabid rats
We didn't
that are
see him in
running
the other
rampant
trailers.
in the north.
Is that a fair?
Beneath the warm sun of
The
14th
faces have been
century
upgraded
Provence,
quite a bit.
the Daroons are almost able to enjoy a normal life.
You're great!
But for a recurrent dream that Hugo has been having of a mysterious island that calls him.
These look like teeth. It's a 2-teeth island.
How come nobody noticed their disappearance?
Maybe nobody cares.
Maybe.
One day, the macular illness that's been dormant inside Hugo awakens, and the dreaded living nightmare begins again.
Woo!
In the wake, Amicia finds herself with no other choice but to trust her brother's dreams and head further south towards the elusive island before he's consumed by the
Looks like they got a budget this time.
affliction.
Yeah.
The bite.
I mean, Plague Tale Innocence did really well, both critically and in terms of sales.
It's starting all over again.
Like this narration tone? Me too. It sounds like they're actually trying to, like, have a presentation
Her
beyond
mind
somebody
is made
reading a
up.
script.
She will find a cure.
It looks
in what
very pretty,
dreams
Athena.
and prophecy may hold.
Get used to it.
With almost no one they can trust,
This is your life now.
Amicia and Hugo must traverse land and water as restless forces stand against them.
Amicia, you all right?
After the events of last winter, Amicia is hardened, experienced, and when backed against the wall, can be surprisingly resourceful.
Yes.
With several new tricks up her sleeve, she is now able to freely choose between striking from the shadows or unleashing hell with a variety of equipment and tools.
Some really
Hugo
cool looking fire
wants
effects.
more than ever to help his big sister and not hinder their progress.
We need to leave or we'll doom everything.
The macula within him is a double-edged sword that has deepened his connection with the rats.
The rats. They can feel people's blood. Now I can too.
This powerful ability can decimate entire squads of soldiers, but takes a severe toll on Hugo.
The fact that you can control the rats now is terrifying.
What's wrong?
Thankfully, their journey brings not only hardship, but also unexpected
Hey Fender, thank you for the
friends.
lurk.
These colorful characters help the Darunes carry their terrible burden,
It's not my first time.
while offering unique skills and resources to bring them closer to their elusive
That bitch
goal.
just light a fire with a prism from good job.
For Amicia and Hugo, the road ahead will test the limits of what they can endure on all levels, and just how far they're willing to go. Reaching
Oh.
the island is only the first step to truly understanding the terrible affliction that's stricken their family. As the lines between reality, fantasy, and fate dissolve, keeping it together and finding the cure to save Hugo will be nothing short of a miracle. But Amicia has hope, and hope is the last thing lost.
Others are burned in it.
If you kill, be ready to be killed.
A Plague
Well, that
Tale
was sick.
Requiem releases October 18th on Xbox Series.
Also, yeah, whoever did that narration for that, you need to hire them to do more people. Or whoever directed that, you need to hire them to do more trailers, because that was such a good overview trailer because the narrator was so I just want to say good. Like, it's just because they were so good. It had such a good presentation to it. Because so many of these trailers that we watch, not specifically for a Plague Tale, but in general, the person is just like, you are able to do this, and that will allow you to take out your enemies, and then you will be able to proceed forward with the journey that has been laid out before you. Like, it's just like so empty, right? It's so lifeless, some of the narration that goes into some of these trailers when they decide to add them. And that felt theatrical, to where the narration for the trailer, even though they're explaining gameplay mechanics, were immersive. So do that more, please.
Damn. What was that? I broke a knife, but it was worth it.
Where's that nightshade?
Watch your ass.
The resolution of this trailer definitely is a step down from the one we just watched. Very, very, like, they're bringing back a lot of the mechanics. The only real new mechanic that we've seen so far is really the crossbow and the takedown attacks, I guess. Okay, there wasn't a whole lot in that one. So now this is the story trailer, although I don't feel like we need a story trailer with that gameplay overview trailer. But whatever, we'll play it anyway.
He's right behind Amicia. He's going to catch us.
Keep running!
Bloody brambles!
This is your tower. It's evil.
You're going too fast for me.
Please, Mother said to try to exhaust him.
Of course, from now on, we need to isolate him.
You want to lock him away?
Do you know what your brother is capable of?
Hugo is condemned.
The last threshold means the death of the carrier.
It's starting all over again.
Not starting. Spreading. Hugo.
Hugo, my brother needs your help, and the rats are already there.
Control your flame, Protector. Others are burned in it.
The island! It's where I must go. It's where I will be fixed, Amicia.
I will do what's good for you. I will. I'm not ready for this.
No one could be ready for this.
Man, when rats explode out of the ground
This
like a
is a constant
torrent,
reminder that
like
I
it looks
should
like a
kill you.
I
geyser.
know where your island is. Keep me alive until we get there.
By the way, this land is under the Count's law. Be nice.
Feel free to enjoy La Cuna. Brighter days are the best time for it.
Fuck it. I don't need you.
What is wrong with me?
You'll end up wanting to kill me too.
What happened?
It's the rats.
This world hurts. And it keeps hurting. And you want to hurt it back. But it's a fight you cannot win, Amicia.
They must die! They are dead!
Who do you think you are to defy me?
Hey, she's got a sword right there, Eve.
Darun!
It was a big one. Also, dang, hang on, I was talking. I want to hear that one more time.
I'm
Who do you think you are to defy me?
Amicia! Darun!
It was a really well-delivered line. That was a strong line. I'm going to play it one more time.
Who do you think you are to defy me?
Amicia! Darun!
Yeah, that was good. See, she uses it once. I mean, probably at least in this particular fight, right? I bet you get to use it in that specific circumstance. How much that circumstance ends up being is, you know, of course, a different question to be had. But, yeah. So, with that said, that's a Plague Tale Requiem. It looks really good. I still am not super into the rat vision, but the rat mechanic is terrifying. Yes, it really is. Because they were already scary before, but there was very little circumstances where they weren't such a defined and controlled element in the first game. There was only a couple of scenes in the first game where you are actively running from the rats, because after those points, then it is a matter of the rats being part of the puzzle type scenario that the game is built around, right? Because the game is definitely a stealth game where you're trying to navigate essentially a course that is made up of rats and soldiers and enemies and obstacles. And once you find your way through that, then that's just how you progress the game. But the rats in Requiem are different. One, because now they're a significantly larger tool. You were able to use them to remove soldiers out of your way in the first game by extinguishing the light that was keeping them safe or guiding them around or anything like that. But and very, very late in the game, you get the ability to somewhat command them to go to a particular location, whether by using an item or by using Hugo. But now you can control the horde, right? You're not just controlling a group of like 100 or so. You're controlling the mass, the We Are Legion group, and it's very. The scale of everything has gotten larger, which, I mean, we talked about how it definitely looks like they got more of a budget this time, which makes sense, given, like we said, how successful the first game was. They are given more money to do it bigger, better, faster, stronger into the first sequel, and it definitely shows in a lot of ways across these trailers that they were able to take everything that they had really built on the foundation in A Plague Tale Innocence and raise it up even higher when they went into Requiem. And I think that they're doing a very good job of presenting that. I'm really glad that with a lot of these trailers, they didn't put a lot of emphasis on the rat vision. Because like I said, every time I see it, it just kind of makes me just groan a little bit. And instead they showed a lot of gameplay not relying on the rat vision. And I like that because I don't want it to feel like something that I have to use. If it's a useful tool for if you are getting lost or confused, that's cool, but I don't want it to feel like something that they are just using as an easy button to allow to not have to think about a larger depth of level construction and things like that, oh, well, we don't need to worry about it because they can just use rat vision, right? Reminds me about some of the best cinematic scenes in Kingdom Hearts where Heartless and Shadows form giant waves like that and fight you. Yeah, it's scary as hell, right? The other thing is that I'm really curious of the overall, not the message, but and not even just the tone, but where this leads in terms of the story, because A Plague Tale: Innocence is definitely the start of Amicia and Hugo's journey, and the name is important in that the word innocence is something that is such a large undertone to the entirety of the first game, and it's never explicitly pointed at in the first game, but it is about the trying to protect and ultimately the loss of innocence, both for Amicia and Hugo, as the course and story of their life and the path that they are forced to go down causes them both in their own ways and in different ways to lose their innocence entirely. We watch Amicia go from being this, like, this essentially this rich daughter who's just wanting to live her life and believe that she's going to become a knight, to trying to protect her brother, to learn to care for her brother, and going from a person who doesn't want to hurt people to becoming a person that will do whatever means necessary to protect the people that she cares about. And that includes murdering a very significant number of people without hesitation or without a recognition for that loss. Like, when you do things early on in A Plague Tale: Innocence, and if you make the actions that lead to, like, a soldier dying, Amicia early in the game will see that as tragic. She will be mortified by it, horrified by it. She will sound scared by it. And by the end of the game, that is gone. She is no longer fazed by seeing somebody be devoured by a bunch of rats, or being the reason that somebody got devoured by a bunch of rats. Hugo, in the very beginning of the game, is so... I mean, he is a child, but childish is the first word that came to mind. He is so childish and so young and so naive. And by the end of the game, that is very lost. He's still a kid, but seeing the things that he saw and going through the things that he saw and being experimented on and stuff like that completely stole a lot of his innocence away from him, to the point where he is now a kid that is dealing with an immense amount of trauma at an age where he can't process it. And so that was the journey and the tone of that first game. And now you have these characters that, while they're still together, they are very broken and very changed, and their journey isn't over yet. And I don't believe that this game will actually be the end. I think there's actually probably going to be a third game, and we're going to see the third game is probably going to be even darker, because part of me believes that Amicia is going to, in the interest of protecting the one she cares about and the interest of trying to help and save her brother, is going to continue down a path of darkness, and be more willing to commit larger atrocities in the interest of trying to save her brother. And I don't think that we'll see the conclusion of these two story by the end of A Plague Tale: Requiem. So, thoughts, since it's called Requiem? We looked it up last time. But Requiem meant what exactly? Requiem, a musical composition setting parts for a Requiem mass of a similar character, an act or a token of remembrance. And so, you know, I feel like part of this, if they're following the 3-act structure, right? If we're following the 3-act structure, which is such a beloved structure to do. I mean, we look at the original trilogy of Star Wars movies as one of the most definitive examples of the 3-act structure. Of, you have the strong start, the uprise, the growth of the characters, the second entry, the second act will end with the characters at their lowest. And so what we will as just like a guess, we will see loss in this. Like, we thought we might see Lucas die. We might see their mother die. We might see, like, we can already tell that things are going to be very, very bad. And it's not because there's just a plague. It's because of some of these characters' actions. There's a scene in these trailers where Hugo is losing it, and I don't mean like he's losing it to the blood curse that exists with him, but he is guiding the rats and like trying to tell them to kill something, and Amicia says they're already dead. And so he is becoming more unhinged, and so is Amicia becoming more unhinged. So I think that this game might end in not a happy-go-lucky way, to the point where, like, Hugo is lost to a form, like, both of them end up being lost to a form of madness in one way or another. Maybe Hugo succumbs to the blood curse. Maybe Amicia just turns into a fucking Sith Lord, essentially, and goes off the fucking chains, killing people. And the third game will be them having to recover from that and be brought back from that in one way or another. I could see Amicia becoming evil, and then the third game starts out as Hugo trying to go save his sister and bring his sister back, or vice versa, of that Hugo descends completely into madness, and then the third game is Amicia trying to continuously, still the theme of trying to save her brother. But there's a lot of guesses that could go out there, but I don't see this ending happily, unless it is only 2 games. If it's 3, that's what I'm looking at and speaking on as the prediction. If it's 2, then obviously this will have to have an ending of some sort. Still doesn't have to have a happy ending, but I believe that the ultimate end for these characters, at the very least, will be bittersweet, if not happy in some aspect. Calling it now, this or the next one, Hugo kills his sister. I don't believe so. It's not Hugo's story. It's Amicia's story. Like, Hugo is the catalyst for Amicia's story. But unless they want to change it into being Hugo's story, I don't think that will happen. Because he is the reason that the story happens, but the focus is on Amicia. Honestly hope they abandon her as the main character with the growth of the smaller brother as to it's a main character. Without a significant time skip, I don't see it happening, right? Because he was like 6 or 8 or something in the first game, very young. And so I don't believe that they will, with the tone of this game, have an entire game focused as you playing as a 10-year-old with this theme and setting. If they time skip hard from games 2 to 3 to where we're seeing him go from 8 to 18, then maybe, but it's still definitely a maybe. And that's also part of the reason why I say the story is Amicia's. Tell me, how old is the standard JRPG hero? But yeah, so without some sort of time change, or unless, like, if they wanted to get really mystical, like the blood curse aged him or something, but I really hope they don't do that, because this is a game that, while it has fantastical and mystical elements in it, still feels very grounded, right? Like, there are this swarm of rats that are perpetrating the plague, and Hugo has some sort of ancient demon blood curse that is connected to the rats, and he's able to control them. But that's kind of as far as the mysticism of it goes as a whole, right? There was some crazy magic shit at the very end of A Plague Tale: Innocence, but ultimately it still was grounded, and I hope that they don't stray from that. But so that's A Plague Tale: Requiem. Let me know what your thoughts are down in the comments below. If you played the first game, how are you feeling going into this one? I don't know. I don't really feel at this point like they haven't pitched this in a way to where they're like, you could just jump right into this game. It definitely feels like they want you to have played A Plague Tale: Innocence before you go into Requiem. They might have some sort of catch-up mechanic or like a story thing at the beginning. We'll see if that ends up being the case, but it definitely feels like they want you to have played the first game. If you haven't played the first game and you're still watching, 1, sorry for spoiling a whole bunch of shit, but 2, let me know what your thoughts are and how this game is sitting for you. Again, thoughts down in the comments below. If you want to keep up that conversation elsewhere, though, 2 great places to do so are Discord and Twitter. And speaking of Discord, we actually have a channel dedicated to these reactions where you can place links of your own that we can watch together live on stream, because we do stream 4 days a week: Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Sunday, and I would love to see you there. If you enjoyed this video, please leave it a like. If you want to catch future videos, please subscribe to the channel. And if you do watch one of the other videos on the channel, or if I see you in the live stream, Thank you and enjoy.